Hello and welcome back to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg and I am here today to do a Friday Reads video where I wrap up the week in reading and any bookish things that have gone on during the week. Of course, the big news that happened this week is the shortlist for the Women's Prize. I did a reaction video. I'll link it down below so you can check that out if you would like. And there's been a lot of good feedback on a lot of the books in there. I am not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about them here, but it's been really interesting hearing a lot of the discourse. I think one of the things that has come out is that I saw a lot of people DNFing Pod and talking about how much they hated it and things like that. And so the fact that it made the shortlist felt a little bit surprising, but what some of the comments pointed out is that I think a lot of people didn't know, like, there are content warnings for that book. Apparently it's actually very violent and some things like that. And I think a lot of people probably went into it not knowing that, or at least that's the way the comments were going, and that's interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what ultimately happens when the winner is announced. The only other thing is that Independent Bookstore Day is this weekend. The day I am posting this video is Saturday, which is Independent Bookstore Day. So if you have the means, please, I encourage you to support an independent bookstore. It doesn't even have to be one near you. I'm wearing my t-shirt for Flint Hills Books in Council Grove, Kansas. I have never actually even been to this store, but we ordered a book from them a while ago because Joel is originally from Kansas and his family is from there. So we had ordered a book from them, and we've actually developed a nice relationship with the owner. She's a lovely lady. And we've ordered a couple of other things. So we've never been to the store, and we don't live in the area, but we are planning to call and order something tomorrow so it can be shipped to us. And I will say, of course, I am planning to go to Montana Book Company in Helena tomorrow because that's my favorite bookstore. I love it. If you follow along, you are aware of that. And one thing I will mention is that they are having a bunch of promotions, like many independent bookstore days and independent bookstores for Independent Bookstore Day. And one of their promotions is, I believe, free shipping. So if you don't live near an independent bookstore, or if you want to support one and you don't know which to support, give them a call or place an order through their website. I believe they will be doing free shipping tomorrow. So, well, I'm saying tomorrow, but it will be today if you're watching this as on the day that this video is posted. If you're watching this after the day that this video is posted, never mind. Just a fun thing to throw out there. Support independent bookstores. They are fantastic. I love Independent Bookstore Day, and I love taking the time to go visit the people at Montana Book Company. It's always a fun day when they have a celebration. They're always very busy, but it's just nice to get there. Anyway, so there's that, and then Jamie update. Again, I was going to try to film in the living room, but this week she did start. Last week there was just an itch. The itch got worse, and she did start getting a little bit of a reaction. The skin underneath her eyes was very inflamed and irritated, and she did lose a little bit of hair. So I don't want to put her in a video while she's recovering from that. So it's been a long week for that, and we'll see if the hair grows back white. They said it could after the radiation, but apparently this is normal, and this is sort of the peak period for her to be experiencing side effects after the radiation. She's doing great otherwise. I mean, the irritation under her eye is awful. When your baby suffers, you suffer, and all of that. However, she can breathe, and there's no bloody discharge from her nose. So, and this is only temporary, so I will take it. I'll take it. It's hard, but we'll take it. And it will be a relief that we had to follow up with the vet today, and it is getting better. She was pleased by the progress that we have made. So that's your update for Jamie. And if you don't follow along, or if you're new, there have been a lot of new people lately. Hi, Jamie is my dog, Jameson, and she has a nasal tumor. So we were in Pullman, Washington for most of April, getting her treated for that. And it's going well. That's really the only side effect we've seen. And that in and of itself is great. And I hope we don't get any others. That would be nice. So that, I think, is everything going on in the world. It will be nice when Jamie is a little more recovered. Maybe Joel and I can get some sleep. You might notice the bags under my eyes. It's a whole thing. Hopefully there will be rest, relaxation, and all of that in the future, not just for us, but also for Jamie, because it's been a ride for her as well, but she has been a total trooper, and I am very proud. I'm a very proud father. Let's get into the actual Friday Reads portion of the video, though. I did finish 2 books this week, and one of them I'm going to hold off on talking too much about, and I'll explain why when we get to it. The first one is actually something Joel and I had started on audio, Merry Christmas, Cupid by N.R. Walker. So there's a trilogy of these books. However, I haven't listened to the first one. Joel did, and I jumped in with the second one. We listened to it on our way to Pullman and finished it during evenings when we were there. And then on the way back, we started Merry Christmas, Cupid, and then we started playing the audio while we were having dinner, and we finished it this week. It's a very cute book. Basically, the premise for the series is that there's a town in Montana called Hartbridge, and they, in the style of romance books that feature Christmas, this is like a small town that really does Christmas right. Everybody in the town is into it, and basically, in the first one, an Australian man is in the United States, and he's driving through town and has an accident and ends up being helped by the man he falls in love with. And then in the second one, another Australian man had been working in Missoula, which is where I live, and he is driving west to Seattle. Probably Seattle. He doesn't really know where he's going to end up, but he's stopping in Hartbridge to do a temporary job to help during the holidays at a bed and breakfast. He's a chef, and of course ends up falling in love. So now another man is moving to Hartbridge over Christmas because he has just gotten divorced and wants to restart his life. And he makes friends with the men from the first 2 books, and they tease him that Hartbridge has a Christmas Cupid, hence the title, Merry Christmas, Cupid. And of course, he does find romance in the town, and it's really cute. Joel and I love queer romances. We love Christmas romances. And, in a stressful time, it was exactly what we needed. A little bit of cinnamon bun energy, and it was very cute. So I'm glad we did both of those books. And they, not always great literature, but they were really cute and said, I like a queer romance that had lots of feelings and emotion and emotional connection. I sometimes get really frustrated when there's a conflict late in the book, especially when it comes from like something silly, like a lack of communication or a miscommunication or something like that. And these books have not really had that. And I've appreciated that a lot. So that has been good as well. The other book I finished was something I read in print, and I was really impressed by how quickly I managed to get through this, because if you follow along, with the stress of everything that has been going on with Jamie, reading has been a little bit difficult. I have managed to stay on track a little bit better than Joel. We're going to try to film our monthly wrap-up this weekend, and we'll see how that goes. So he has not read as much as me, but that'll be fine. We'll talk about it anyway. But I was sort of struggling to get through things quickly, and I was not really managing to do anything too serious and all of that stuff. So I decided, after I read Boulder last week, which is obviously short but was a serious book, I decided, I think I'm ready for something serious. And I was thinking, and I had originally been planning to read this in the build-up to the new Pulitzer Prize announcement this year, and with everything going on in April, I kind of scrapped that plan. So I was thinking to myself, I feel like I might be ready. What if I just try it and see how it goes? And I picked it up and got through it really quickly. I finished it this week. I can't remember what day I started it. Might have been Sunday, maybe even Monday, and I just tore through it. And I was finished with it by Wednesday night. And then there's an afterword that is sort of in the form of a letter from Joshua Cohen at the end. And I waited until, it's called Credits and Extra Credit. I waited until yesterday to read that. I filmed my Pulitzer Prize deep dive for this yesterday and edited it. So it's ready to go. I think what I'm going to do, just for, arbitrary timing purposes, is schedule that video to post on Monday. So you can look forward to that on Monday. And the reason for that being that Monday will be exactly 1 week before the announcement of the new Pulitzer Prize for Fiction winner. So we can say goodbye to the reigning champ and welcome a new one. And fingers crossed for Demon Copperhead, because I would really love to see that happen. I'll put a link to my Pulitzer Prize predictions down below. I want it to be Demon Copperhead, but I predicted something else. So I'm not really going to say too much about this. I'm going to make you wait for my Pulitzer Prize deep dive. If you follow me on Instagram and watched my stories, you got a little bit of a tease for what I was thinking of this book. All right, I will say it's going to be a Pulitzer Prize deep dive and a rant, which will kind of let you know what I thought of this book. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. So you can look forward to that video on Monday with my full thoughts, but I did read this and finish it. I was really impressed by how, with myself, given how much of a struggle reading has been lately and how much I've had to rely on sort of cinnamon bun books or really short books. I have mentioned that sometimes a book that irritates me can be helpful right now, because that it's almost not to the level of like a hate read. I don't think I would have the energy for that, but when irritation does somehow manage to pull me through, and I do think this kind of leaned into that a little bit, but you'll find out more on Monday. But I felt very surprised and pleased that I managed to get through it so quickly. Once I finished that, I picked up, well, I was thinking again, what I really was almost inspired to pick up, The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois, which is on my bookshelf right here, because I still need to finish that book, and I really, really want to finish that book. And reading the book that won instead of it last year kind of made me want to do that. But I was also thinking, I had started The Grapes of Wrath back in February. It was supposed to be a buddy read with Joel. And in February, Jamie started getting bloody noses, and that started us on this whole train. And I really started getting stressed out, and I had to kind of pause. So I was more than halfway through this book. I don't know if you can see where my bookmark is. And I started thinking, it's all right, well, I have 2 unfinished books that I really want to get back to. I should probably do Grapes of Wrath so much time doesn't pass. I'm basically a year out since I started reading The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. To recap, I started it on audio, wasn't really liking the narration of it too much, so I got it from my library and had to wait a little bit. So that started the process of dragging everything out. So after a long wait, I got it from the library. But once I had it, I discovered that I was really enjoying a slow reading process with that one. I really liked taking my time and savoring all of the words. It's really beautifully written. But that doesn't work great when it's a library book and you have 2 weeks. So I renewed my loan, and in another 2 weeks, I had made it halfway through the book, but I was still loving that process of savoring it, and it was due back at the library. And at that point, the paperback was due out in about a month. They timed the release of the paperback around the announcement of the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. You can kind of tell they were thinking or hoping that they might win. And I'm sad that they didn't. But anyway, so I put the library book back and waited for the paperback, picked it up, and haven't managed to pick it back up since. There's always a danger when you put a book down that it will take a long time to get back to it, but I really want to. So anyway, all this is to say, I am hoping that I might pick this up once I'm done with The Grapes of Wrath, but I figured I should go with this one, because it was supposed to be our buddy read with Joel, and he did finish it already, so I need to catch up. And just if I come to this one, not a whole lot of time will have passed, so it won't feel too weird. So I am on page 294, and I think there are 455 pages in the book before it starts getting into the notes. Let me quickly check. Yeah, 455 pages, and then it starts getting into the notes. So I am in a good place. I've only read about 50 pages across 2 days. To be fair, 1 day, because I finished Netanyahus on Wednesday, and I'm filming this on Friday. So I managed to make it 50 pages further than I was. So I'm going slower than I was through the Netanyahus, but that's fine. And still liking it, and I am looking forward to being done. Audio has been a little slow this week just because I'm tired. I think both Joel and I have not been sleeping great with everything that has been going on. So I have it's weird. I feel like I'm much better able to focus on a physical book right now. I have sort of struggled to pay attention to anything on audio. So when I've been ready to listen to something, it's usually been a podcast. But I had started City of Night by John Rechy, and I think I had just started this in my last Friday Reads video and had not made it very far. So I think I had listened to the first chapter in my last Friday Reads video, and at this point I am almost 30% into the audio. And I admit, I thought I would have been further along. So when I saw that I was only about 30% into it, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. But I've really been liking it so far. So this is sort of famously told in stream of consciousness style. It is a big chunky book, so I probably should have anticipated that I would only be a chunk of the way into it. But it's sort of told in a stream of consciousness style. I don't know if I think of it as stream of consciousness all that much. Like when I hear stream of consciousness, I think Ducks Newburyport, and this isn't quite that, but it's not a traditional way of telling a story. So you have a protagonist who starts out in El Paso, and thankfully, Jen the librarian, we're reading this for the Queer TBR tackle. I'll have information about that down below. Jen the librarian had started it before I did, and put a warning in the Discord group that a dog does die in the first chapter. And I really appreciated the warning. I think it would have hit me a lot harder if I had not had that warning, but I was able to go into it and sort of power through. And then the protagonist goes to New York, where they become a hustler among men. And it's sort of about the people that they meet, both scores and other hustlers. And eventually they are in Pershing Square, I think, at the point of the novel that I'm at. And there's not really a plot, except that it sort of just follows him on this odyssey. It is a queer classic. It was published in the 1960s. And for some reason, I always think of this as having been published in the 1970s, but it was much earlier than that. It's copyright 1963, which, wow. Amazing to think that something like this was published at all in 1963. That's a very bold move on behalf of the publisher, but I'm grateful for it. And I have wanted to read this for a very long time. So when it was one of Jen's books for the Queer TBR tackle, and I was grateful for that because it's giving me the kick in the pants I needed to finally get around to reading it. I'm glad that I finally am. It'll be interesting to see because, like I said, I thought I was much further along in the book, and because there isn't really a plot, part of me just wonders if it can sustain the level of enjoyment over so much book without plot. But we'll find out. I'm really interested to see. I think it's a good book. I'm glad I'm finally getting around to it, and I look forward to. Hopefully, I'm going to be done with this by the next time I talk to you in a Friday Reads video. So we will see, and hopefully, I will be done with the Grapes of Wrath by the next time we meet for a Friday Reads video. So I haven't really decided what my next audiobook will be once I finish City of Night. I'm hoping that once I finish the Grapes of Wrath, I'm kind of two minds. I want to read Sonora Babb's book, and I'm forgetting the name. I have it on my shelf. Let me grab it. Whose names are unknown. So Sonora Babb was a worker in camps in California where displaced people ended up during the Dust Bowl. And she wrote a novel that was not published because the Grapes of Wrath had already come out and been a wild success, and publishers were like, well, we're not going to compete with that, so sorry. And it turns out also, and I don't know if he used her notes or not, but she was giving her notes on the people she was meeting in these camps to her supervisor, and her supervisor sent them to John Steinbeck so he could use them in forming the Grapes of Wrath. So it's an interesting story. So there is an audio of this available on Scribd. So actually, as I'm talking to you, I'm sort of working this out in my head. So what I will probably do is hopefully I'll be done with the Grapes of Wrath soon, and hopefully I'll be done with City of Night soon. So once I finish this, I'm probably going to pivot to the audio of Whose Names Are Unknown. I've made a commitment that I'm going to try to read Pulitzer Prize winning books in physical form so I can spend time with the words. And then if I run into trouble, if I'm really not liking it or dragging my way through, I'm going to allow myself to pivot to an audio. So Grapes of Wrath, I made a commitment to read in physical form, but since this isn't a winner, I can do it on audio and it'll be just fine. So this will actually probably be my next audiobook. And then once I finish the Grapes of Wrath, my plan right now, and I always reserve the right to change my mind because I'm a mood reader. Once I finish something, and who knows, the way things have been going, something could explode by the time I finish the Grapes of Wrath. So maybe plans will change, but my thinking right now is that I really want to get back to the love songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. So we'll see how all of that goes. But that is where I'm at right now. Jill and I are again, we're going to go to Helena tomorrow and call Flint Hills to order something from them for Independent Bookstore Day. So tomorrow we'll be celebrating Independent Bookstore Day, and Helena will drop in and visit my in-laws. And Sunday probably we'll try to film our monthly wrap-up. Monday you'll have my deep dive on the Netanyahus, and then maybe toward the middle of the week or later in the week I'll post the monthly wrap-up from Joel and I. And that's just a bit of a tease for what is probably coming up. I'd love to hear what you've had going on in your life this week, reading, movies, anything. Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, I really appreciate your time and all of the support. Again, everybody has been so kind about everything we've gone through with Jamie, and I really do appreciate that. So anyway, I will be back. Until next time, happy reading.